Did students' protests topple Bangladesh's government by driving the powerful and defiant Prime Minister into exile? What began as peaceful protests by students in Bangladesh against a quota system for government jobs eventually turned into an uprising that forced Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina to resign and flee the country by helicopter. The end to her 15 years in power came after weeks of violent unrest during which nearly 300 people died, according to the local media reports. The government repeatedly tried to quell demonstrations they blamed on sabotage and opposition parties with bullets, curfews, and internet outages. But these heavy-handed moves actually backfired, fueling outrage and further protests. On Monday, finally, protesters defied a military curfew to march into the capital's center following a weekend of violence which left dozens of people dead. As troops pulled back and internet access was restored, tens of thousands of people began to celebrate in the streets, and thousands stormed the leader's official residence. Military Chief General Waqar-uz-Zaman said the army would seek the president's guidance to form an interim government as he called for calm in a public address on Monday afternoon. Here's what we know about all this. Firstly, how did the protests start? The protests, which have drawn hundreds of thousands, began in July with the students protesting against a controversial quota system that allocated government jobs. It turned violent on July 15th as student protesters clashed with security officials and also pro-government activists, prompting authorities to disperse tear gas, fire rubber bullets, and to close schools and impose a curfew with a shoot-on-sight order. The internet and mobile data were also turned off. The government says nearly 150 people died last month, while local media reported more than 200 were killed. Now the question is, why were they protesting? At first, the demonstrations were against a quota system that set aside up to 30% of government jobs for family members of veterans who fought in Bangladesh's 1971 War of Independence against Pakistan. Protesters said the system was discriminatory and benefited supporters of Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's Awami League party, which led the independence movement. Now, this furor highlighted the extent of economic distress in Bangladesh, where exports have fallen and foreign exchange reserves are running low. There's a lack of quality jobs for young graduates who increasingly seek the most stable and lucrative government jobs. As the violence crested, the Supreme Court last month ruled that the veterans' quota must be cut to 5%, with 93% of jobs to be allocated on merit. The remaining 2% will be set aside for members of ethnic minorities and transgender and disabled people. The government accepted the decision and restored the internet, thinking that the situation would ease. But the protests grew, with new demands for investigations into the deadly crackdowns and eventually for Hasina and her cabinet to step down. Now that all this happened, what happens next? Well, thousands of protesters were seen celebrating in the capital, waving Bangladeshi flags as the news broke, while others looted her official residence, carrying out furniture and even fish from the kitchen. But after 15 years of her administration, it's not clear what comes next. The army chief, General Waqar-uz-Zaman, promised that the military would stand down and to launch an investigation into the deadly crackdowns that fueled this outrage against the government. He told his countrymen, "Keep faith in the military. We will investigate all the killings and punish the responsible. I have ordered that no army and police will indulge in any kind of firing. Now, the students' duty is to stay calm and help us." He asked for patience as a new government is formed. We'll be keeping our eyes on what's happening in Bangladesh. Do tell us what you think about this video in the comment section, and for more news updates, subscribe to India Today.